What's up, squad? This is Brandon from the Bantu Sun. Thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to touch on the fact that Donald Trump has basically authorized the release of a lot of intelligence documents related to uh, JFK's assassination, Martin Luther King assassination, and RFK's assassination. And the reason why this is so important is because it shows you one. This is why we don't talk about politics. We talk about geopolitics, understanding the chessboard, understanding the world, because the most important decisions you will make in your life is where you put your feet. It determines so many things, like how you empower yourself, how do you enable yourself, what part of the world are you in, what kind of people are you surrounding yourself with, what type of culture are you absorbing. This is why we have this grand understanding of the world. We're not doing this for some type of moral authority. Far from it. And politics kind of rest on that moral authority. And the reason why, especially in the West, where it works on democracy. Most of the world, you got like the head honcho, or the developing world, lower levels will say, you have the head honcho. Everybody know who the head honcho is and who his posse is, right? What the West has done is they've made a great job of concealing the head honchos and his posse through elected officials, right? So these elected officials are agents of these people. And sometimes, of course, they hold great authority, which comes with the office. But by no means are they the end all and be all. And some of these agents, because they didn't build this, they didn't create these things, they are very aspirational. And that aspiration it's a trade-off with character. The things they do to achieve these positions, the compromises they make and the compromises they impose on other people to achieve this level of fortune. So, or this level of authority. So, what you realize is, like, looking at these, and a lot of JFK, they started to point fingers at possibly his own VP, LBJ. Some of these things, they have Martin Luther King, and they talking about Martin Luther King is coming out. His character is turning out to be a horrendous or debaucherous, sordid nature. His reputation is going to go through some changes. But remember, these people, these are presidents. This is Martin Luther King. These are Reverend Martin Luther King. These are people that have been opposed on the American child, a virtuous people, a virtuous position. This is where they start to tell you what is right and what's wrong, posting these false gods in front of you, claiming you should worship them, you should defer to them, they should have some authority in your life. And what Trump is doing with releasing these documents, you got to remember, these documents are 50 to 60 years old. People live their whole lives not understanding the corruption that goes on. They say LBJ, President Johnson, Lyndon B. Johnson, was putting his cronies in federal departments, primarily the Department of Agriculture. But it's possible he was putting his lackeys within the federal departments just to make sure they can get on payroll. This is how the system operates. And it proves a lot of the things that I've come to learn. It just proves everything I said, right? It proves the fact that we have a situation where these people are protecting their interests. So you have all these government officials, you have questionable acts, and these different people playing this Game of Thrones to secure power. And I'm not going to talk about, so obviously Cuba, I told you guys I don't trust Cuba. They're not what they seem. They're not what they seem. They're not what they seem. They do not act like an enemy of America. They act like an ally. They just recently, Trump was talking about putting immigrants into Guantanamo Bay, which they just got released because now they got a facility. They have rental space on Cuba. Like, if you were really enemies, right? If you really had animosity towards each other, do you think India has military bases in Pakistan, or Pakistan trusts any of its security forces with inside of India. Like, it just shows you how you can't understand. Cuba was probably the greatest ailment to Russia. Cuba dragged Russia down because of the subsidies. And Cuba has basically went backwards. Who has the current communist regime benefited in Cuba? You have to ask yourself these questions. Now, can I prove this? Absolutely not. All I'm saying, if we can critically think about some things, why? Why is Cuba refusing, or why have Cuba chosen the route it has chose? And why is America so comfortable with a communist country next to it? Unless it feels as though that communist country is its ally. And supposedly some of the documents talk about the Bay of Pig invasion being ruined. Because if America really wanted to invade Cuba, that's nothing. Nothing. Nothing to invade Cuba for America. It's right next door. Logistics won't be hard. Like, resources won't be hard. America invades Afghanistan, like a mountainous country on the other side of the world, and fought a war there for 20 years. So it shows you the power that America could project if it wanted to. So you see these documents, like, you have these interests, you have these entangling alliances, these clandestine relationships that nobody knows what's really going on. And that's another big reason I tell people, stay out this political game. It's big boy stuff. That's why I like talking about it. Because I don't know what the heck's going on. You don't know what the heck's going on. You know when somebody gets on the stump and tell you what they're going to do, but you don't know what the heck's going on. And so many people are so confident, this, that, and the other, to go ahead and empower these people and give them all this type of authority, because they're doing what they want them to do. But what about when they do stuff you don't want them to do? They still have that authority, don't they? They still have that authority. And so it's interesting, and it's all very interesting, these documents, because to me, I'm not surprised. It's unfortunate it took so long for it to come out. These known secrets, and obviously many people knew about them, but it's unfortunate that it took so long to come out because of the naivety that it breeds. If you get free time, don't think about empowering other people. Empower yourself. Mind your own business. And when I mean that literally. Mind your business of empowering yourself. We talk about a lot of things on this channel about the world of inner workings to get a fundamental understanding of how relationships work. I don't think America's less corrupt than any other place. But as Nomad Capitalist says, America's corrupt. It's just that the ordinary American don't have access to that corruption. You go to a corrupt country and, they'll ask for a couple of dollars or they'll upcharge you. Now you're in part of the corruption. But here it's big boy blame. It's big boy game. You can't even get into the room, the height that it goes. So rules for thee, not for me type of situation. And that's cool. I don't got no gripe with it. Because to me, this is fundamental. It's a reflection of the culture. You can't get it out because you call it corruption, I would call it human. People have interests, and that's what we try to drive home. And that's why we continuously stress the fact we're not trying to push a moral authority. We're not trying to say who's right, who's wrong, who needs to change what they should be doing. We're trying to gain a fundamental understanding, a very small niche fundamental of understanding. We are ignorant of a lot, but this is our expertise, and we understand it. And we understand it to a degree that we can make predictions and put ourselves in positions to create a structural benefit from the inevitable. That's the goal of geopolitics. This is what we're trying to learn. We're trying to say, okay, this is how these work out. This is the way the world works. And relationships matter. Interests matter. Strategy matters. How do we take that and invest in our business of self to empower ourselves? Because like I said, the biggest decision you're going to make in your life is where to put your feet. So based off that, it's going to determine so much of your options. So it's it is what it is. I think, but it's just a reminder. I think these things is nothing new. They're gonna always drop. Being an African American, unfortunately, I have thoroughly aware of the inconsistency of governing authority. Um, it is absolutely inherent in power. So I was just watching the news of the day, and I was talking about a corrupt mayor, and you don't even know what's going on. But that's why you have to know, because people are going to try to influence you. They're going to try to change your mind. They're going to try to manipulate you because they want your energy. They want your energy for their cause. But if you know, you cannot be misdirected. So I'm waiting like everybody else. When these things come out, hopefully it gives closure to some people and family, and it really grounds us all in understanding to give us better, make us better decision making when we decide to give people power and authority in the world around us. These things are critical. I always think one of my favorite countries that a country that I find very interesting is Switzerland, right? And I can't remember who it was, and I can't remember who it was. I would have say Milton Friedman. I'm not sure. I don't know who it was, but somebody said, "Who is the president of Switzerland?" And I have no idea who the president of Switzerland is. I barely know what kind of government structure Switzerland have. I know it's decentralized, but what I'm trying to make is Switzerland is an extremely wealthy country, and it does this by moving like they say a silent G like lasagna. Like Switzerland is very subtle, but it's one of the great economic markets in the world. That interests me. That is when I'm like, okay, politics. Like now, I want to understand how that works. How do you get everybody on board with that? Where everybody can win. It's Germans, French, Italians, all types of different people in Switzerland, and Switzerland has been successful and wealthy for centuries on centuries on centuries, while maintaining its neutrality for the most part. That to me is a very interesting model. So we live and we learn, but all this stuff, this politics stuff. America is an economic machine. All this political stuff, that's just Game of Thrones on top of the political machine. Don't get it. Don't get misconstrued. Don't You gotta differentiate these two things. One is people aspiring and playing their Game of Thrones. The other is recognizing the inherent geographic benefit of the economic unit that America is. One That geographic benefit allows these people to play that Game of Thrones because it's such a wealthy country, and some of these horrible decisions has not crippled the nation. In a less affluent country, it might have. So it's all unfortunate, but I'd like to hear your thoughts below. What do you think about these documents coming out? Have you heard anything to the contrary of what I said? This is based on some of the reports that I've been seeing or reading about. And if there's anything that I missed, make sure you feel to chime in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you enjoy the content. Until next time, take care. Bantu up.